Hello and welcome to the ultimate group with absolutely nothing in common.
We are your hosts,
Abdullah,
and Ibrahim, and today we'll be talking about one of our favorite books. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera.
yeah. Now, to take it away, this book has some of my favorite themes in any book I've ever read.
Especially the theme of Deathcast, which is a completely dystopic outlook on the future and a creative twist on the potential drawbacks of tech advancements.
Completely agreed. With the themes of friendship and bonding, this makes for a hell of a book. So, in the book, They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, we have our two main characters, Mateo and Rufus, as well as a variety of side characters who have a variety of relationships, but are all connected to the main character, Mateo. Characters. Mateo is a gentle, kind-hearted guy, but his main character flaw is he is controlled by fear. Rufus, on the other hand, is more outgoing and social and lives amongst his Plutos, who share a foster home with him.
Well, I think enough of the introducing and let's get to the questions about our story.
To start us off, this book has a lot of new technology.
Yeah.
So, when have we taken technology too far?
So, me personally, I think that Deathcast is everyone can agree that it's really overkill. Just knowing when you're gonna die 24 hours before you do, to our world is relatively insane. But I think stuff like social media, smartphones, AI, that stuff is like the beginning of the end, because yeah, the social technology just kind of leads up to all that.
That cast is, in specific, is a whole rabbit hole, I think.
Yeah, there is a lot to get into when it comes to Deathcast. Speaking of which, what are some of the pros and cons of Deathcast?
So, one of the pros of knowing when you die is you know when you die and you can plan around it. And the second pro is that you can do whatever you want because you will die in 24 hours anyway.
Yeah, and to take it from him, there's some cons too. Like everyone around you has to cope with the fact that you're gonna die. And another one people don't really think about is corporations like Deathcast. Large corporations have a lot of data and private info about you. And these corporations are also really omniscient, should be really terrifying and very powerful. And it's just, not very good.
So we know Deathcast kind of controls fate.
Yeah, there's a big difference between that and free will, which is what most people make their choices on.
And what are some instances of free will and fate in the book?
So in terms of free will, Mateo chose not to tell Lydia he was dying after he left his apartment. That was a calculated choice. And Rufus beating up Peck, that was his own decision to get revenge.
And some of the fates that happened in the book, Rufus and Mateo meeting, Mateo helping Kendrick get shoes, which was important at the end. The creepy guy harassing Rufus and Mateo helped them bond.
Speaking of fate, foreshadowing can show potential fates of the characters. Like, for example, Mateo and Rufus and their death. In the beginning of the book, in particular, the foreshadowing is broad and non-specific. Like Mateo having a scary dream, or just, you know. And in the end, it narrows down, like them falling off a cliff, something explosive, Peck with his gun. Um, and it really can predict their fate, because you can make a lot of educated guesses on it. But really, that foreshadowing of how it actually happens is subtle. Like, the main two things are Mateo um, warning Rufus about crossing the road. That one might have caught your eye. And A small one is also Mateo forgetting to turn off his stove and saying a neighbor will fix it. That's subtle foreshadowing his death, and really shows how fate is influence. It really can show what the fate will be for these characters, and the foreshadowing is really crucial in this book for that reason.
There's a lot of discussion in general to be had about this book and the characters inside them too. For example, how Rufus stuck with Mateo regardless of everything. He needs to go with his friend to the hospital because at that time Mateo was supposed to go to Mateo was trying to go to the hospital to see his dad before he died. And when they got on the train, there was a Decker party, and it was a special party for Deckers. And Rufus made the choice to not like, and a girl actually invited Rufus to her home, and Rufus actually stuck with Mateo instead of going with the girl. Um, so I think this shows that how this is foreshadowing to how Rufus is going to be good friends with Mateo in the future. Well, I think that was great for the questions. We might have had different opinion, but I think all in all there was a lot of great answers. This story had me thinking about how my life would be if I knew my death day. I think I probably would have been home trying to prevent my death.
Yeah. This book really made me feel emotions, man. Like, I felt the grief of Rufus talking about his family, and I felt the regret of Mateo saying he didn't do enough, and I felt the relief he felt when he was at the end of his time and he just wanted to live. I felt the growth and care and the little things and passion.
Wow, that was deep. Definitely.
Uh, so, what are your main takeaways from this book?
Well, I just generally felt an emotional investment from the characters and their development.
I felt like I'm not living enough, to be honest.
Exactly. After all, living every day like it is your last was one of the main themes of this book.
Also, the book covered themes of friendship and bonding, and how you can find a friend really anywhere and any amount of time, too.
And Rufus and Mateo in the book proved that.
Themes of loss and grief really hit home as well.
There was a lot of themes in this book, but it would take us an hour to list them off. So I guess instead we'll sign off.
And that's all. Bye.